What's going on, everybody? MandoTrading here, and in this video we are going to walk through one of the executions that I had today. This trade, it turned out to be a pretty good one, but it wasn't exactly where I wanted it to go. So there are times where I am wrong in terms of where price is likely to end up, but with the risk management that I take and how I manage the trade actively, you will see how even when I'm wrong, I still end up getting paid. So we'll take a look at this trade. In the meantime, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I will continue making videos like this as long as you all want them. Also drop a like on this. I would appreciate it. So let's get into it here. Now, you'll notice that right off the bat, I have a 3 contract position. And we had currently or recently swept relative equal lows left from the AM session and got into a 4-hour bullish imbalance. So with those things lining up, I decided that I would like to play to the upside. Now, market structure, if you notice, is bearish. I'm looking for this to act as somewhat of a bottom so that I can enter in long on this trade. And all I'm looking for really is just a retracement into discount of what the range is. So you'll see I actually added off that red candle. I started the video a second after, but you'll notice as price runs up, we're actually about to run into a bearish fair value gap, bearish imbalance. But to me, if the range is being set, I'm not so worried about that bearish fair value gap. That would be in premium, so overpaying for your short, not really the best idea, and that's why I'm not all that worried about it. So, but you'll see that imbalance that I have marked, the one that we wicked into, is a 4-hour imbalance there. I'm not sure if I zoom out or not, but so up at this point, you'll notice I've been doing something a little differently where I want to see one full candle move higher. There's a lot of confluence on this trade, so I felt pretty good about it and wasn't really too worried about it. But you'll see here I dropped down into the 1 minute time frame, and we have a 1 minute bullish fair value gap. Now, I don't enter trades off the 1 minute, but I do use it as a way to guide me in my trade. So for example, if we have a 1 minute fair value gap, I could use that in a way where that low of the candle that creates that imbalance is actually going to act as my stop loss, but not quite yet in this situation, because if you notice, my entry was 17,644 and we're only 10 points, right? So at 20 points, that's when I really start to accelerate with my stops in profit. So here we just created a 1 minute bullish fair value gap. I'm currently in it right now. I should be drawing it here shortly, and you'll see it for yourself, but you'll see how price wicks into that bullish fair value gap right there, and it starts to make its move a little bit higher. There it is. I knew it was coming. There she is. Good. Okay, so from this moment, really, that fair value gap to me is very important, specifically the candle that created it, right? So while I still didn't move my stop because I didn't hit that 20 handle threshold, let's say I did hit 20. At that point, that's where my stop loss is going to go. You're going to see it later in this video how I manage the stop movement. But again, I like to use the 20 point as the bar for me. Again, everybody's different in terms of risk management and such, but I like the 20 points. If I could hit 20 points 3 times a day, even with one contract, that's excellent. So right now you'll notice body candle is holding the midpoint of our 1 minute bullish fair value gap. Take it with a grain of salt, but that's what I'm using right now to map this current trade. And we're starting to move off of it. So I know it's a waiting game, and you'll notice we had 3 pops, right? Prior to this one that ultimately will take out that 1 minute bearish fair value gap. And 3 times we got into it. So, and there we go. That's another high. You'll see I'm just back and forth time position, right? There's our 5 minute. You'll notice there is a 5 minute bearish fair value gap there, but again, that bearish fair value gap in terms of this range is in premium. So trying to short that, to me, would be reckless because you're overpaying for your short in that situation. So so far so good here as we continue higher. In this situation here, I'd prefer for a fair value gap to form or a bullish imbalance. But again, you'll see, I believe it's very shortly. Here it is, yep. So at this moment, you're going to notice I move my stop loss up to the low of the candle that is creating the quote-unquote imbalance. It is not formed yet, but at that point, I'm cool with it. We did hit that 20-point threshold, and at the very minimum, I want to make sure I get out of there with 15. And we start to go, right? So if we look left, you're going to notice there's not all that much holding us back from heading up to that next bullish fair value gap. So you'll see I mark the next 1 minute bullish fair value gap, and I have a 1 minute bullish order block as well. So, just kind of sitting it out here. You'll notice that no 5 minute bullish fair value gaps forming here, and this comes into play in a little bit. So again, here's the range. I don't even have my target at 50%. I had it just below. We actually didn't quite get there. But you'll see it at the end. So there's the bearish fair value gap. And if you notice, there's that one red box above right now. That is an hourly bearish fair value gap. And the first imbalance that we've had to the downside since we've set this massive range. So to me, that's a range setter. So while I am playing the bounce in this situation, I am leaning towards us not going back up to the high of the day and shifting market structure back bullish. That's not really in the cards for me right now. So, but okay. So you'll notice, again, what is there right to the left? Very small. Oh, whoops. There it is. Bang. That is a 1 minute bullish fair value gap. But to me, at this point, I'm still letting it hang at that 49.50. Just by looking left, yeah, we have a 1 minute bearish order block, but that's about it. But you'll see now we dip into the 1 minute bullish fair value gap. Also a mitigation block. So you'll see that previous high that we had. We're going to use that as a support level here in just about a few seconds. But there we go. We're getting into our bullish fair value gap. And here she comes. Hold on. There she goes. Okay, so if you notice on the 1 minute, there is that 1 minute volume imbalance. To me, the most bullish situation here would be a 1 minute that overlays that bearish volume imbalance right there. Let me let this go, right? So again, if we look left, right, sometimes we talk about that low resistance liquidity run. And to me, if I look left, I don't see any higher time frame imbalances. I see a 1 minute bearish order block, but that's about it. And you'll see we're kind of shredding it up. So we'll continue higher. We're about to get back into that 1 minute. And just above that 1 minute, we have our 5 minute bearish fair value gap. Also worth noting the time. We are just about to hit 3 o'clock. So I'm gonna continue to run it up. Now here's where you're gonna notice, by the way I play this, where I'm pretty happy with the gain so far. I obviously wanted to go to my target, but at this imbalance, just knowing the time of day being at 3 o'clock, I didn't even want to play around with the potential retracement and look for a bounce, right? I was kind of content with the amount of money I was taking. So you're going to notice how I played this. Also, you see where my stop loss is now. I slid it up again to the low of the candle that created the next 1 minute imbalance right there. And this is kind of how I'm walking it up. But this way, the way I move my stop loss, the way I look at it is, even if I'm wrong in terms of what the ultimate destination to the upside is, I'm coming out of this pretty good. And here's I guess a little bit of a frustrating part, but I left a couple hundred on the table here. But if you look left, what do we have there? 1 minute bearish fair value gap, right? So what does that tell you? Yeah, price could slow up a little bit, right? And ultimately, in a few minutes here, maybe not minutes, even seconds, you'll notice that I just take the trade off. I didn't like how we weren't accelerating up to that 50%, and we did have some resistance. And ironically, I was actually right here. We rejected and actually sold off to close out the day. So, if it continued to run higher, would I have been upset? Yeah, of course. But at a certain point, profit's good enough for me. I mean, really, what is this, 12, 15-minute trade? And you make a pretty good, decent chunk. So, but yeah, hold on. It's coming up where I call it quits. I wanted the low of that imbalance to hold up as a support level there. You're going to see I don't even move the stop loss. I just manually take coming up here. I just didn't really like how it wasn't holding on to that above imbalance. And again, ironically, this is pretty much it. I think we may have squeaked a couple points higher after a little bit of a retracement, but I was good. And it's coming up, but yeah, ultimately at this point I'm starting to think, okay, what's the exit plan? See, I didn't want to dip down into that bullish fair value gap there, and the reason was just look at how much in terms of price it's changing, right? These are like $400 or $500 swings, and again, I was happy enough to take it at that point, and while we're just approaching 8:30 and the 9:30 open as well, I know we took out higher time frame liquidity. While I did envision a 50% retracement, we didn't quite get it. So that's where I took it. That is the end of the trade, and that's kind of just, again, the idea behind it. So yeah, this was, ultimately what set this up was a relative equal low sweep. So sweeping liquidity, a potentially large pool of liquidity with multiple orders resting there, and the bounce. I looked forward to 50%, it didn't quite get there, but guess what? I came out of it with a pretty good trade. So yeah, that's all for that one. I'll start doing these again, but a little later on. So I'll catch everybody next time. Again, if you would subscribe, like this video, and check out some of my other videos if you are new here and you want to learn some new stuff. So I'll catch everybody next time.